What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Your Cousins Are Critics, and this is episode 11. And yeah, it's been a minute since the last one. That was Carrie, and it's been maybe a week or two, or a month or two, however long.
Really?
Oh, maybe a month, but it feels like it's been
Yeah.
longer. A lot has happened, actually. Uh, for one thing, this guy's hair turned yellow.
Whoops. Dog peed on it.
Yeah.
I haven't watched
Yeah.
it yet.
And there was a big tornado that happened in my town.
Oh yeah. Yeah, this town
Yeah.
got fucked up.
Which was why I didn't release a video this one week. But,
Damn, yeah.
Because the power was out for about 5 days, and then
Yeah.
but yeah, no, we're back though. Here's episode
alive.
11, first episode of season 2, if you will, of Your Cousins Are Critics.
Season 2.
And yeah, so today's movie, we are talking about the 1969 film Easy Rider.
Or as I call it, Sleazy Rider.
So yeah, this was directed by Dennis Hopper. Yes, the Dennis Hopper.
He's also
from Blue Velvet.
He's also our cousins.
Oh
Our
yeah,
cousin.
all right.
We come from
our family's name is Hopper, even though we actually have two different last names.
I was adopted.
But yeah, and it stars Dennis Hopper along with Peter Fonda and Jack Nicholson. And yeah, I'm sorry. I apologize if this one's gonna suck or not, because usually whenever we do these, we record a video right after we watch a movie, but we actually watch this a few days before than the day we're recording right now.
Yeah.
Because what was it? I think we didn't have enough time.
Yeah, I had to work the next morning.
Right. Yeah. So.
But I think this just gave.
And also, you had band practice too.
That
day.
Yeah.
You had band practice.
I think this just gave us some time to think about it.
Yeah.
About the movie,
yeah. I'm trying to remember most of it. So. So let's go ahead and jump into it. So.
All right. Synopsis mode.
Yeah.
This is gonna be the quickest. Summary.
I might help you along the way too. If you can't think of.
It's gonna be one sentence, basically. Literally, these two guys, Billy, and we don't know the other guy's name for like half the movie, but his name's Wyatt, or they call him Captain America a few times. They're these biker guys, and they're sort of they're trying to be free. Their whole life is built around being free. Like one has long hair. They look kind of crazy, especially for this time period. Yeah, and then and by today's standards, they look real normal. So anyway, this whole movie is about them trying to get to Mardi Gras
in New Orleans.
Yeah, because it's a party, and so that's really the whole movie. They run into a bunch of kind of strange characters along the way, and they even invite Jack Nicholson along. You know, they meet him in jail.
Yeah.
And we'll get into those details here in a little bit. But yeah, basically, this movie is about these two bikers who are trying to live the free life. How they make money is from selling drugs, and so they're trying to be free, but it turns out the freest country in the world
hates them.
Yeah, it doesn't want people to be free, and it's really interesting.
They just see him as these hippies on motorcycles.
Yep, they see him as like these degenerate scum. So I think now we can kind of just go into more of the details, but that was really the summary of the movie.
Yeah. So what do you want to talk about first?
Let's see. So I guess we could start in chronological order. Like these two guys, Wyatt and Billy. I assume they're in Mexico because they buy.
Oh right.
They
the first scene.
Yeah, they buy these drugs, off of this. He appears pretty wealthy, this wealthy Mexican man, and they immediately sell it, and it's a lot of cocaine, and they sell it to fucking what's his name?
They sell it to this guy who's this like supposed to be a rich guy, but he's actually played by what's his name, Phil Spector.
Yeah,
Yeah, the Phil Spector.
yeah. So then that is basically their funds for their whole trip, and they come from. Yeah, so I guess they were in Mexico. They end up in California for a second, sell the drugs. This is just what I'm guessing,
Mm.
and they're making that little southwestern trip through, Arizona, New Mexico, probably Oklahoma into Arkansas, and then New Orleans or Louisiana rather, and so basically, yeah, they have the funds to do their trip. They're kind of like they camp out everywhere because like the motels
Yeah, they
won't let
won't.
them stay because they're wearing freaking leather jackets and on hogs and stuff like that. And who's the first person they encounter? It's like is it when they get a flat tire or do they encounter the weird hippie cult guy first?
I don't remember the flat tire.
Yeah, they had a flat tire and then they ended up on that farmer's land.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was before the
Okay.
hippie guy.
So, they're driving through. It looks like they're in maybe New Mexico or something, and then they get a flat and they have a nice dinner with this farmer guy.
Yeah, and
And
his
this is
family.
yeah, and this is where they start talking about like freedom and stuff because Peter Fonda or Wyatt is like, you got a really nice land here, and
Yeah.
you're free to do whatever you want on it. And the farmer's like, well, I don't know about that, but and the farmer kind of repeats the sentiment. He's like, you guys are free, you're on this motorcycle thing. And the most interesting part of that scene that I liked is it showed Peter Fonda, Wyatt, and Billy working on the bike, trying to get it, get the flat fixed.
Mhm.
And then at the exact same time, the farmer was working on horseshoes and hammering them into the horse. And it was just like it was an interesting. It started an interesting conversation about like the past and the present. Horses and cowboys were like the free characters of the old west, and now it's bikers who are the basically the cowboys of modern time, at
Mm.
least in the 70s or late 60s, early 70s.
Yeah.
And so that was really cool. I love that. And they just as they eat dinner with him and then they leave because they're going to their Mardi Gras.
Mm.
And the next guy they run into, I don't even know his name,
I don't
but
remember his name.
he's a real John Lennon motherfucker. He looks like is it Sergeant Pepper era where he has like the kind of the
Yeah,
mustache to
yeah.
the sides?
Right, he did look like him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he looked
He
like
had
John Lennon.
short hair then, I
Yeah,
think. Yeah.
yeah. And so they run into this guy and he's kind of on the back of Wyatt's hog for
Mhm.
a long time. He's just a hitchhiker. They pick him up and they're trying to get him to his place, which is really crazy because like I would never pick up a fucking hitchhiker. Like I
Well, nowadays it's dangerous too.
yeah, I mean
It's
it
in
is a
fact
lot
I think
scary.
it's illegal in most, if not all, states.
It's crazy.
But yeah.
Um, but they end up getting this guy back to his like little commune in the middle of nowhere, and it's basically just a hippie commune, and it pissed me off so much. Like,
Yeah, he was so
because I was
uncomfortable.
like, this shit is stupid. Like, it's just a bunch of like people just living in these shacks and like doing theater performances, and it pans over, and it shows these like uh, young people trying to like work the fields and have like shit grow so they can not starve. And it's obvious that they just didn't think about the logistics of like, oh, well, shit can't grow in the soil here. Like
Mm.
it's different. You can only grow like certain kinds of crops, and you're gonna have a lot of trouble feeding everybody. And there's a bunch of kids. There's like it's free love, all of that crap, and which isn't crap, but whatever. I just don't like the aspects of like hippies not thinking things through. I think I find it pretty annoying.
Huh.
Um, And yeah, okay, well, I don't like hippies because in the 60s there were like real movements going on, and these people were just like interested in doing drugs and being, I don't know, they weren't interested in the like Black Panther movement or anything like that. But anyway, that's besides the point. Um, so what happens at the commune? It's like
Um,
Wyatt kind of falls for a girl a little
yeah,
bit.
he falls for a girl, and also I don't know. He seems like he actually likes the place at least. Maybe he's
Yeah, yeah, he
kind of
liked
digging
it.
it. But then Billy, uh, hates it. Like he's not comfortable there, and he just wants to get the fuck out.
If Billy wasn't a scumbag, like he was like grabbing like girls' butts and stuff, me and
Yeah,
him, if he wasn't like that, me and him would be homies. Because when he was like,
yeah,
"I've got to get the hell out of here," I was like, "Man, Billy,
yeah, yeah. At
I
first, I
don't
mean, of
want to."
course, because there's beautiful women there. Of course, he wants to have sex with them, but then those but then like
He's just
those
gross
people
about it.
are
Yeah,
just like freaking them out and stuff, and, and
yeah.
yeah,
It's just strange. It's just like it just feels like these people. The whole movie just shows. I feel like it just shows how insecure a lot of people are, or how like lost people are. But anyway, um, so yeah, they
there is a part before they leave. They do hang out with these two women that were there, and they like go to like a was it like a canyon or something
yeah,
with like
they
with
go they
water,
go skinny dipping and stuff.
right? Yeah,
Real 70s mode.
yeah.
And our but then, Billy kind of convinces Wyatt. He's like, "Hey, we got to go to Mardi Gras."
Yeah.
And so they start to leave, and then the John Lennon looking guy gives Wyatt LSD and says, "Whenever you find your home, here's this."
That's where they
Yeah.
got
Yeah. He
it,
got the
and that
LSD from
comes
Lennon.
back
Yeah.
later. And oh boy,
Oh
that
my god.
was a trip, literally.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that later, but yeah, probably the weirdest scene in the movie, but we'll get to it.
And then so the closer they get to New Orleans, the kind of more unwanted they get. Like the
Yeah,
townspeople are like, look at these freaking, gay boys and stuff like that, and they're basically
where does that
driving.
rhyme with maggot?
Yeah, they're basically driving through where we are.
Oh yeah,
probably probably in like the 1970s, and
60s.
oh yeah, 60s, and they're getting some hate. Um, and then is the next person they find, is that Jack Nicholson, the next
Yeah,
person they find?
first they crash this parade, and they're just like right behind the people, the musicians and stuff. They're just on their bikes right behind them, and then the police catch them,
Yeah.
and they get put in jail. And their cellmate happens to be this lawyer named George. What was his last Hanson? I think.
Costanza.
I think. I think it's George Hanson. I think is his name, and he's played by, of course, Jack Nicholson. Um,
Ride or die.
but yeah, um, we'll probably talk about his performance
Oh yeah.
maybe later. But yeah, go ahead.
Um. So yeah, they kind of meet this guy. He's a rich lawyer. His dad has got some power and
He's
stuff.
drunk all the time.
Oh yeah, he's an alcoholic for
Nit,
sure.
nit, nit.
Right. That might be one of the weirdest parts of this movie. Yeah, that shit was.
I love it.
I
It's
was like,
funny
what
to
the
me.
fuck?
I think
Um,
it's funny.
I'm so glad I'm not. I wasn't alive in the 70s or late 60s, 70s. So, um, but so they meet this guy. He's got connections, so the police let him out, and he's like, "Hey, let these
Yeah,
boys
does he
out with
like
me."
bribe them or something?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. And he does these guys a favor, the bikers, a
Hmm.
favor, and um they're kind of saying their farewells, but they're like, "Yo, basically, you should come to Mardi Gras with us." So he puts on a fucking football helmet, looks like a fucking idiot.
Like his high school
Yeah,
football helmet.
it's so dumb. And and they start traveling. They start getting to Mardi Gras,
Yeah.
And so there's a few nights of them like bonding and stuff. And
Yeah, camping and
yeah,
stuff.
they
They smoke weed
yeah
and talk about like UFO conspiracies,
yeah.
which I do actually. Well, I'll talk about that later, but that there is a fun fact about that. I didn't
Mm,
even tell you yet, but
interesting.
we'll
Okay.
get to that. Yeah.
Um, yeah, because he's like a very big alcoholic, and Wyatt's like, you want some of this? And he's like, what's that? He said, weed or whatever. He
Ooh,
said, yeah,
marijuana.
marijuana. And it's crazy how much of a stigma like there was with marijuana because meanwhile this guy's a fucking alcoholic, and
Yeah.
eventually like
Yeah,
uh
he's like, oh no, I'm, I'm a, what do you say? He's like, I'm, I'm already fucked up with all this booze and whatnot. I don't need to get high and stuff.
yeah, well he was
He's
like
like, he's like, I don't want to get hooked by it. And they're like, oh no, it doesn't hook you. I was like, well, no, but it does lead to other drugs.
yeah, exactly. And it's like, well, not really, but okay. So meanwhile, this fucking alcoholic is still convinced by the propaganda that like weed will make you fucking do meth eventually. And he tries it, he likes it, and they keep traveling and stuff, and eventually they run into this town, and this was the worst decision they've ever
Yeah.
made. And they go into this diner. They look like some goofy. They honestly look pretty goofy because Jack Nicholson's got
Especially
he's got a
him.
fucking helmet still
Yeah,
on.
the red suspenders.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, just take the helmet off. Maybe these townspeople wouldn't fucking hate you. But everybody in the diner is like, what the fuck are these gay boys
Yeah.
doing? And look at that long hair. I thought that was a girl, but it's like the
Yeah.
dude with long hair has a fucking mustache. It's
Yeah.
fucking-
Also, there's like some underage girls that
Yeah.
were attracted to
They were
them.
the only ones who were like, "Oh, bike ride, let me ride
Yeah.
on this bike," and so they're not even getting any service. Like the our
Yeah.
boys, our main characters, aren't even getting any service from the people working there.
Yeah,
And
and they're just listening to everyone just talk about them, and they're
yeah,
like, okay, let's get out.
so they split.
Yeah. Right before they do, though, those girls come out and they're like flirting with them and stuff,
So gross.
and even flirting back. And has like one of my favorite lines in the movie. Whenever the cops looking out the window, Dennis Hopper, he goes, yeah, Billy, he goes, oh, the man's in the window. He's like singing, the man's in the window, the man's in the window, the man's in the
Yeah.
window.
And then they all fucking they
And
split.
then they just get the
Yeah.
fuck out.
So then they're having a great time camping again, and they really like each other. You can tell that
Yeah.
they like Jack Nicholson a lot. And so they have a nice
George.
night.
Yeah.
They fucking fall asleep, and then the townspeople show up with fucking bats or like what batons and beat them all up in their fucking sleep.
And they kill George.
Yeah, like smash his fucking head. He's bleeding out.
Yeah.
And then so the other guys leave. like
Yeah.
our main characters, Billy and Wyatt, leave. He's like, they're basically Wyatt's like, or Billy's like, that's what George would have wanted for us to get to fucking Mardi Gras. He's still on his Mardi Gras shit.
Right.
And Wyatt's kind of fucked up by it. He kind of doesn't.
Yeah,
He's kind of.
he doesn't really want to anymore.
Yeah, he's like, bro. Yeah. And basically, the whole goal too is George mentioned, he's like, this is his quote. He's like, there's a great whorehouse in New Orleans. And so all these guys are trying to they're like, Wyatt's basically saying, hey, he wants us to go, like, get a sex worker. Like, he would want us to have that moment.
Yeah.
And so they make it to New Orleans. They make it. And they go to the brothel and they hire a few sex workers, but they don't get with them at the brothel. They're like, I think they just, I don't know, I think they were kind of just felt weird being there. And then so they were like,
particularly Wyatt did.
yeah,
But
yeah, he was like not
Yeah.
into it at all. And also the brothel looked like a church. It was kind of crazy. On the inside,
yeah.
it was like Renaissance paintings and crap on the wall. So they're like, y'all want to go to Mardi Gras? And then so they take the workers out to Mardi Gras and they party it up. and it seems pretty fun. And then they end up in a cemetery, and they take the
Yeah,
LSD.
this is where things get
So,
very
so
weird.
these guys, they found that, I guess they thought that they found their home in the cemetery, and fucking with these girls, and they took some LSD and shit got really bad. Like I don't even
Yeah.
know. Do you want to describe this scene? Because I don't think I can. I don't know, dude.
So
It was
first
hard.
off, this scene looks completely different from the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
Like I mean, this is a low budget film, but like the rest of the movie kind of looks like it could be like a Hollywood movie, from the '60s. But this scene in particular does it. It looks more like a very low budget B movie, kind of like almost even horror
Yeah.
too, and
Yeah.
like it looks like definitely like an art house film. And just there's just some crazy shit going on with the characters, all Billy and Wyatt and the the sex workers
Mm.
that you said, um, like they're just tripping out on LSD and shit. One of the one of the sex workers gets naked and like they're just I don't know. It's just so bizarre. Like I think one of the coworkers is like praying and stuff
Yeah.
too. You hear them praying and like there's also like this noise of like I don't know what it is, like a bell or something. I
Yeah. It could be.
forget. And it's just so bizarre. There's like no music playing too. You just hear the you just hear that girl praying and then like the whatever the bell or
Mhm.
something and it's just it felt like a different movie. It
Yeah.
didn't feel like it was the same movie.
It was like a bunch of voices on top of each other. Fucking Wyatt was like holding a statue, like
Yeah.
crying. Basically, it was like talking about his mom. I think he was like, "Why'd you leave me?" and shit.
Oh yeah.
And then like, I think I think Billy was talking. I think Billy was having sex with one of the girls, and he was like, "I'll make you beautiful" and shit. It
Oh,
was just
I don't
disturbing and
remember
sad.
that.
Like it was just like
Yeah.
the girls were freaking out, everyone was freaking out, and it was like Jesus
Yeah.
Christ, man.
Yeah, it
And
was so
so it
weird.
was just like it was just such a sad scene to be honest. I was like, this is
Yeah.
just horrible. And then so they got what they wanted, I guess, at Mardi Gras. And
Yeah.
then so that was
So
the end of Mardi Gras, right? They just left after that
yeah, they
on their bikes again.
they left. Nope. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that
I
happens
don't think
before
there's
the
any.
ending. No,
Yeah,
not really. I mean, there's some scenes with like music playing, and we'll talk about those
yeah,
scenes too.
oh yeah, those
But
are very important.
yeah,
Um,
but but no, that's about it. Oh, wait a minute. No, there is a scene actually.
oh,
One of them camping out, and Billy says to Wyatt, he's like, oh yeah, we made it, man. We're in the good life, blah blah blah. And Wyatt just says to him, he's like, we blew it. Good night. Like that's all he says
yeah,
to him because he's like, no, this was not a good
it's
time.
fucking yeah, it's fucking terrible.
Yeah,
And
and yeah. So then now now I guess we'll talk about the ending, right?
yeah, so they get back on the road, and if I'm guessing where they are, probably like Mississippi or something.
Somewhere like that. They're not even close being home yet.
No, I don't even know. Yeah, and it was like this so bad.
Definitely a redneck country for sure
Yeah,
still.
yeah. So they're driving down the road, and these guys in a truck with like a shotgun hanging um in their back mirror, like just like or their back window.
Yeah.
Um, one of them was like, "Hey, slow down! I'm gonna scare one of these guys," and shoots the shotgun.
Yeah, he like goes, they drive up to Billy
Yeah.
and he's like, "Hey boy." And he's like, "Why don't you get a haircut?" Something like that. And
Yeah.
Billy flips him off and then he shoots him with a shotgun and
And it's
he
like,
drives away. Wyatt
yeah.
sees him. He's like, "Oh, Billy, no, I'm gonna go get help." And then, yeah, go ahead.
And then the guys say, "Turn around." The
Yeah,
the 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 shooter
What
says, "Turn
happened?
around." Yeah, he's like,
What happened? That was
like
so stupid.
like on the first with Billy getting shot, you can't tell. Like I honestly don't know if it was an accident or what. Like I mean, obviously he shot a gun at somebody, but I don't. He said before that he was just gonna scare him. So I don't know if he meant to shoot Billy,
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
but
I I honestly think he
probably.
did. Yeah, and you
Well,
just
if you're willing to shoot a gun in the area of somebody, then you
yeah,
probably wouldn't care if they actually got
and
shot.
maybe the driver didn't realize he was actually going to shoot him, and so he just said that I guess to him. He's like,
Yeah, yeah,
What happened?"
yeah. What happened?
That
And
was
then
stupid.
so fucking Wyatt is freaked out. He's driving off to get help, and the truck drivers are like,
Yeah,
"Hey, turn around!"
yeah, we got to go back.
And then fucking shoots Wyatt. Wyatt's off of the bike, and you just see, and I forgot to mention this. Wyatt is like covered in America stuff. Like his leather jacket has an American flag. His bike is like
Yeah,
an American. It has American flag on the
you
gas
can't
tank.
really see it, but on
Yeah,
there on the helmet, his helmet,
yeah, yeah.
American flag.
So he fucking shoots Wyatt. Wyatt's off the bike, and it's
That's why he
just
calls him Captain America.
yeah, yeah,
Too.
yeah. And then so that's why, or the fucking America bike is on fire and flying through the air, and crashes, and that's the fucking end of the movie.
Yeah. And then it ends with this song playing that's like kind of like a happy kind of sounding song, sort of like folk song.
Yeah,
With like this helicopter shot, which is a
yeah,
really good shot.
yeah.
But
Very 70s,
yeah,
60s shot.
yeah, with the credits rolling in. Man, that ending still pisses me off. Like I hate that ending. I mean, not because it's not because like it sucks or anything. Oh, I mean, not in terms of like it's a bad movie ending in general. I mean, not no, it's not. But just of what happens and stuff. It just reminds me of how much I hate rednecks, and we live in a state full of them. So yeah.
Yeah, I think um this movie's really interesting too because the people on the bikes, to be honest with you, Wyatt and fucking Billy
Yeah.
look like everyone I know now.
Yeah.
They look like the quote unquote rednecks that are like that live in all of our towns and stuff. And you can see because what this movie's about to me is like okay, America and everyone who lives here, well, not everybody, but a lot of people think this is actually a free country when it's not. It's not a free country. Like there's hardly I don't there's not a free country in the world probably other than maybe certain places, but so these
Mm.
guys say okay, if let's be free, let's do it. Let's be free. And once they get to sort of the center of the country and then especially like the south of the country, they start getting hate for being free. And all these Southerners who always talk about freedom and things like this, and I've had this thought in my own life because like I know I dress different than what normal like straight guys dress like.
Mm.
So I get a lot of weird energy from people
Yeah.
because people are kind of like they don't know what box to put me in or whatever. So it's the same shit in this movie where these same sort of Republican types are like, I believe in freedom and free speech and all this crap. And then once they see that, they want to beat it up or they want to kill it. And so that's what this movie to me means. And even the fact that like all these people are searching for freedom, like the cult, the hippie commune, the rancher guy, Jack Nicholson even, you know, they're searching for freedom, but there's no in the United States there's no chance for it unless you're a rich person, in my opinion.
Mm.
So it's like you see there's these people who are just like kind of angry or kind of sad or confused because they're not happy, and they're looking for all this freedom and stuff, and it's not it's basically a dream that they're never gonna catch. Like even the commune actually seems the most happy.
Yeah.
Like they seem like the closest to freedom uh,
Well,
versus everyone in the
even the
movie.
farmer too, in some aspects. I mean, he doesn't have to deal with city folk.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
That's true. That's true. That's true. But even them, you can see there's a lot of doubt in their brains, and there's like a lot of like things that definitely aren't going to work out because if they made a sequel about the
they did make a sequel.
oh they did
Yeah, they
what was it about?
years later, years like 2012.
Oh okay.
I don't know exactly what I want to say. It's about maybe Wyatt's son or something, but
Oh,
I haven't seen it. I heard it's not good.
I was gonna say if they made a sequel about the hippie commune, it probably would have been
Oh.
about it failing because they weren't able to sustain it, like they weren't able to sustain it with food and stuff. So it's like they're just nothing was stable in this movie. It was all people searching for something and having a hard time finding it because the society around them was making sure that they could not find their freedom.
Yeah.
And so and it's just so funny with like, the main guy, Wyatt, having, an American helmet, American leather jacket, even an American bike, you know. He hid cocaine money in the fucking gas tank,
Yeah.
you know.
Like through these tubes
Yeah, yeah,
too,
yeah.
so it won't get wet.
Yeah. And, by the end, the fucking American bike is blown up by other Americans who don't believe in freedom. They act like they do, but they don't. They don't believe in it. They don't believe in it for everyone, just for them.
Yeah. So the moral of the story is basically America sucks.
Yeah, to be honest, and nothing has there's nothing has changed really. I mean, it's just moved from like bikers, like because bikers are like they're as American as anything else. But now it's just like the types of people who would want to kill bikers. They're wanting to kill trans people or gay people or even like black people and Jews and stuff. And it's like they really just don't understand. They think that America is this free, beautiful country, but and yet in their mind they want to rid the earth of certain groups of people. It's a real problem. I think people just don't think about they don't think about things. They just see, oh,
Yeah.
the TV tells me to hate uh, gay people or black people, so I'm gonna believe it. You know, my dad told me I need to, I hate black people, and that black people suck, so I'm gonna believe it. It's just people not thinking about things and not giving a shit to enough to think about it. So this movie is pretty poignant. I think it carries over, and as long as the United States acts like it does and has a government that doesn't care about its citizens, then this movie will be. I mean, this is like the easiest movie to understand for me. Like I was just like, oh yeah, this is just like
Yeah.
telling people how it is.
Some people might not think it. I mean, some people. I mean, it's a simple story, and some people might be like, "Oh, there's not really a story to it, and it's just these guys on motorcycles driving. Blah, blah,
Yeah,
blah. There's
yeah,
cool music playing.
yeah,
Jack Nicholson's funny. That's it. Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
But no, I mean, it's like what we didn't say earlier is like how beautiful the shots were of like the land and stuff.
yeah. This movie has great cinematography, amazing editing too.
Yeah,
Like,
really weird editing.
I
Too.
love the
Like
editing.
very
Like,
creative.
there's like, yeah, I guess we can talk about that stuff now.
Yeah.
That like there. Do you remember the transitions that they had like
Yeah.
in the beginning of the movie where it was like blinking?
Yeah.
The next scene, like it'll show like it was like first like 1 second, the next scene, then back to the other, then back to the next scene. It's
Yeah.
like doop, 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 doop. It's pretty cool. I never seen that. I don't know if I'm explained that very well, but if you've seen the movie, you probably know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But but I never seen that in any other movie. I don't think.
I feel like, and I think, and I'll
I
put
will say though, if I ever become a director, I do want to do that at least on one of my
Yeah.
movies.
um maybe
That'd
it
be
is
really
through
cool.
maybe
I'll
it
do
is
it as a homage to this.
yeah, yeah. Maybe it's because of the use of music in this movie,
Yeah.
but a lot of the editing choices remind me of like music videos from like 20 years later or something.
Yes,
It's
yes,
like very,
yeah. The scenes with music and this. I don't even think this has a score. It's all just
yeah.
source music, just music that from artists and stuff. Like you
Hmm.
got like, uh, well, first of all, probably the most popular song in the movie is "Born to Be Wild" that plays in the intro. Everybody knows that song, but some people might not realize that it came from this movie, or at least this movie made it popular.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure if it. I'm thinking it might have came out before the movie, probably,
Yeah.
but yeah, "Born to Be Wild" by Steppenwolf. There's also another Steppenwolf song called "The Pusher" that plays before that, and then you got "The Weight" by the band, which is also a pretty yeah, very well known song, of
Mhm.
course. But like this movie, I think made that song really popular too. Like in the Starsky and Hutch movie with Ben Stiller and Owen Wilson, there's
Yeah.
even a scene with them on motorcycles. Look, they even like dress like Billy and Wyatt in this in that movie,
Yeah.
and the way is playing. It's pretty funny. Um, you also got the Birds,
Mm.
and there's a Jimi Hendrix song.
Was it?
If six was
Yeah,
nine,
that's what I was thinking.
yeah. And I forget who else is in the movie, the artist, but like there's like a funny country song called "Don't Bogart That Joint, My
Oh
Friend,"
yeah,
and
yeah.
this weird
That's really
song
sweet.
called "If You Want to Be a Bird," and like some others. There's a song that Bob Dylan wrote that was like close to the end of the film.
Yeah.
I don't know who it wasn't Bob Dylan who performed it, but somebody.
They're doing their
Yeah,
best Bob Dylan impression. God damn.
yeah, yeah,
Like
for
I was like,
real.
this is funny.
But the
And
soundtrack is, I love the soundtrack. Like, I even have it on record, too. Um, although they don't actually have the band's version of The Weight on the soundtrack because of, like, something to do with the record company. They actually just have a cover of it instead.
I fucking hate record companies.
Yeah, yeah. But,
Yeah, I think this movie really, man, it's set in place, kind of a whole generation of people, like through the music and through the imagery and through the ideals. But I think people didn't pay enough attention to the ideals of the movie. They were like,
yeah.
"Oh, I want to be free," and that's where they left. They didn't think further than that. So they were like, "Oh, okay, freedom is like in Born to Be Wild. Freedom is a motorcycle. Freedom is rock music." And there's some truth into that, but it, it's like you can see how people just maybe I don't know what came first, the chicken or the egg, but I could just see this movie like putting an impression on people and like just making people think that not really paying attention to the fucking ending. Not really paying attention to
Yeah.
the fact that how sad these people were. They just paid attention to like the cool aspects of it, wearing leather jacket, the music. They didn't see the tragedy in this, the lie that they've been told their whole life.
Mm.
And so yeah, and I think we're still dealing with those aspects today. Not to just bring it back to all the subtext that I've read in this movie or seen in this movie, but yeah, I find it pretty wild because I can see
No
aspects of
pun
this. Yeah, I can
intended.
see aspects of this in like a lot of people. A lot of people like my mom's age, like your mom's age,
Yeah.
and uh,
Yeah, they were actually around during the six. They were
yeah,
both born in the '60s.
yeah, and so um, yeah, it's just real interesting. And I think the United States is such a weird place, and I think this movie captures like how beautiful the landscape can be, but then how like kind of opposite the people can be sometimes. And don't get me, and I'm not like in high school before I knew a bunch of shit, like I was more like anti-redneck or whatever, but now I'm not,
So,
man. Like
well,
like because I don't think, and I don't, if someone's racist or like homophobic or whatever, I don't like them. But a lot of the more like because redneck basically means working class person from the South,
Oh,
basically
okay.
at this point. And most of the people I meet in the South um, are good people.
Sure.
It's just a matter of like they're poor and stuff,
Yeah,
but they get drawn into being like this character. It's
I
kind of weird.
guess yeah, I guess whenever I said I hate rednecks, I'm talking about the ones, the racist and homophobic ones,
Hmm.
like, and those are honestly the kind of people I think of when I think of rednecks.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, because there a lot of them are that
yeah. I mean, they were made. I mean, we can go into the me and you can talk about the history of rednecks maybe later, but
way.
or like where that term even comes from.
A
But
separate podcast.
yeah, yeah. But but yeah,
You would definitely do more talking than
I
me though, in that.
don't know. Um, but yeah, I think yeah, America's just weird, dude. It is so weird. People are so separated they don't understand that, we're all pretty similar when it comes down to it. There's just a lot of, I don't know, weirdness. And I guess like my whole point is just that this movie captures the confusion of being an American a lot. It doesn't I don't think it gives a solution, but it paints a picture of like how confusing it is to be an American and to be on your motorcycle and people hate you because you're on a motorcycle or because you have long hair. Like I'm
Oh, I'm fucked
yeah.
then.
I mean, I told you that story whenever me and a couple homies I was living with got pulled over in Oklahoma, um, a little bit more south of where we live, or southwest.
I don't know if you have told me this.
We're shooting one of my friend's music videos in this location,
Yeah.
and we got pulled over by a cop, and I know why we did is because we didn't look like we were from the town. We had long hair. Like I didn't have long hair at the time, but I was wearing like a purple blouse, and my homies had long hair. And so we got pulled over and we had to sit on the curb for 30 minutes and they were like, "You got any drugs in the car?" And my homie was like, "Yeah, we got a joint." And then we got let go because who gives a fuck about a joint anymore? But it was still that same sentiment of like, "Oh, these people look different. Let's see if we can persecute them. Let's see if we can throw them in
Yeah.
fucking jail for 24 hours or something."
The fact that that stuff is still happening today is just stupid.
It's
It's like,
yeah.
I mean, it's everywhere now. With that kind of people, black people,
Yeah.
like like the movie Straight Out Compton. There's like scenes in that where they got pulled. The cops, interrogate them because they look like gang members when they're just rappers.
Yeah. I mean, it's like
Stupid.
yeah, uh, gay folks, hippie looking folks, rock and rollers,
Yeah.
any black person, any Mexican person, they're gonna get fucking. It's just crazy. They get fucking persecuted by the police. It's so gross. Like, and sometimes some situations are more violent than others. Man, it's just fucked up because it's like, okay, you call yourself a free country, but you want to throw me in and people who look different than you in fucking jail. It's just dumb. It's just dumb. But but yeah, man, this movie's weird. I will say that it's a weird movie because it's like
Pretty ahead of its time too.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
like a fucking. It, I told James while I was watching this, I was like, this seems like a movie that my like kind of film nerd friends from Oklahoma City be like, you gotta watch this weird underground movie about like freedom,
Yeah.
But it's kind of crazy how like famous this movie is.
Yeah, for
To
real.
be
Like
honest.
it's regarded as like maybe even one of the greatest of all time.
Yeah,
To some people might say that, and which
yeah,
I honestly agree.
yeah,
Like this was in a book that I had of like just like some of the greatest movies of all time. Like this was in there. That's I think how I first heard of this movie, and
yeah. I've
but
seen that. I've seen that photo like a billion times.
right.
Yeah. I've known about this movie ever since I was a little baby, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's funny is that he told me he said that this wasn't at all what he expected. He said that he thought this was more like an action
I
movie
thought it
or
was gonna be like
something.
a funny, like Like I thought it was gonna be like something that like you could quote when this movie
Yeah.
you can quote it, but it's not like fucking Forrest Gump or like I don't know,
Shawshank
yeah,
Redemption.
it's not like I thought it was gonna be like just kind of a funny like oh these biker kind of outlaw guys are kind of rolling through the world and
Yeah.
it's funny. But this is the complete opposite. It was fucking
Nah.
sad. It was like, oh yeah, weird,
No,
weird
if it was
thing.
that way, I don't even think we would be doing this
No,
podcast. Yeah, if I saw it, I was like, nah, this movie sucks.
yeah, yeah, man. Strange thing.
You were probably thinking, why is he showing me this movie?
I honestly thought, yeah, I
Okay.
thought it was gonna be a lot of weed humor. I thought, I thought it was going to be like basically because this was kind of talking shit on the '60s, I think. But I
Yeah.
thought it was going to be more like, ah, we just did some LSD, man. Look at how fun it is. Whoa, we're walking around, it's all crazy. No, it was fucking like people are crying. It was a
Yeah.
weird, it was a weird, weird circumstance there.
Yeah.
Weird thing happened.
I will say I got more of the messages through this rewatch with you because to me, I just thought this was a cool movie, just like how it was made and stuff. I
Yeah,
loved how it was made, and yeah, ever since I first saw it, that's why I loved it
yeah,
when I first saw it. And yeah, but I definitely caught the message like now. Like, I mean, of course, I did like catch like some messages like the fucking like rednecks suck kind of thing,
yeah,
but that was like about it.
yeah,
But I definitely knew that there was something in the story that it was trying to say something. I just didn't really catch it just yet, but I
yeah,
knew there was something there whenever
yeah.
I watched it.
And
But
I've got no way of knowing what they were thinking while they were making this, but just um, my perception of the story is really that it is about the ideal of freedom versus what it actually is. Because people, like I said, everyone has this love for freedom, but few of them really accept what that means. That it's freedom for like every type of person, really, other than like Nazis. You know, they can die
yeah,
or be murdered. I don't know, but yeah, other than
the
Nazis,
KKK,
yeah, those are the same homies. Yeah, get them fucking out of here. Die in a hole forever.
racist people, and of course like child molesters and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. Oh
Those
yeah,
are the only people
yeah.
that you shouldn't give a shit about.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's like,
and I think it's dumb that some people think that like a lot of Christians think that like gay people are as bad as those kind of people.
it's insane. It's so. I mean, don't even get me started on that conversation. Like, it's just. It's like they've never met a gay person in their life.
Yeah, all gay means is just you're attracted to the same sex.
I
Like
know.
that's it.
It's like I've got a lot of gay homies, but
Yeah,
they
and even though
they're not
even
evil.
though I'm not gay, I'm just like whatever. If that's your thing, that's your thing.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, get after it. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, it's we live in a weird world. I think, James.
yeah.
I think we live in a strange time, for sure. But I do think that it is getting better, and hopefully it'll get
I
even
mean,
more better.
a little. I mean,
Question mark.
of course, there are people that accept gays and other stuff too,
Mm.
and that's good. Like they're even starting to put like gay people like in cartoons now. So
Yeah.
yeah, what some people might be like, oh no, don't do that. Don't put these are for kids. You can't have gay. That's why for the longest time you never seen gay people in kids cartoons.
Yeah. Yeah, because it was like,
Like The Simpsons was like probably maybe one, if not the first cartoon in general to have gay people,
yeah,
and even though that's a little more toward adults, but still,
yeah,
but
yeah. It's man, yeah, and it's like people just, yeah, I mean, that's just a huge conversation. Like, they'll be like, yeah, it's cool if there's a bunch of straight people in cartoons, but there can't be one gay person in them because that'll turn kids gay. And it's like, well, there's a bunch of gay kids who already exist. They just think that they have to be straight.
Yeah,
So it's like, just have all different kinds of people
yeah.
in the shows or something, you know?
One
Just,
thing though,
yeah.
like they might like for example, they might like well, okay, they might like turn like certain characters into gay that's been around for years, like Velma from Scooby Doo. They made her a lesbian
Oh,
now.
yeah.
What that just came from the fact that like she doesn't look
Yeah,
like a
yeah,
girl,
yeah. Oh,
and
she looks different.
yeah,
She's
and
gay.
people assumed that she was a lesbian all of these years. Oh, also, I think even Bert and Ernie from Sesame Street, like people assumed that they were a gay couple,
So then they
and
turn him into one.
I, maybe I think
I mean,
that's kind of weird. But
that is kind of a weird
yeah,
conversation too, because it's like not every gay person looks like Bert and Ernie or Velma. So, but I don't know.
right.
Whoever, I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know. But I do think that is funny.
Yeah,
Yeah, she's not a typical looking woman, so she's gay.
yeah,
So, okay. I don't know. There's all types of people out there, but yeah, that stuff is goofy. So yeah, this has been a real conversation about the United States. I think we kind of
yeah,
like the state of people making decisions for other people. Pretty weird,
yeah.
but
You didn't think we'd be talking about that stuff, but before we started watching the movie, that
no,
is.
no. I was like, oh, these guys are on bikes. They're cool. They've got guns. I thought
Yeah.
there were gonna be more guns in the
Oh
movie.
no, no, they don't have guns.
No, they're just vibing. They're
Yeah.
just vibing for Mardi
But
Gras.
yeah. But I guess before we end it, there's probably still some stuff we could talk about just in the movie. I
Mhm.
mean, go and say I will, like I say, the music.
Solid,
it's really good.
solid.
And like probably one of the first films to even do stuff like that with scenes with music. Maybe,
Yeah.
like you said, kind of like music videos. There was actually a movie before this, Martin Scorsese's first film. Who's That Knocking at My Door had like some scenes with
Oh,
music and stuff. In fact, I think it was like I believe it was the very first movie to have a Door song.
oh
The
yeah.
the end was in it because that came out the exact same year as the first two Doors
Oh,
albums.
that's cool.
So I that's probably the first use of a Doors song in a movie. But
You just reminded me too of Kenneth Anger was not as known as Martin Scorsese or anybody else, but his all the only sound in his movies, as far as
I
I
don't know
know,
who that is.
he's like a pretty underground filmmaker. He made
Okay.
some weird things, but the soundtracks to his movies were like songs from the 1950s. And so it was like these kind of he was
Hmm.
making these weird kind of creepy and kind of subversive movies, but he had all these old 50s pop songs.
Huh.
And then he made a movie. I might be wrong. I might not know this have the correct information, but I think he made a movie called Lucifer Rising, and Mick Jagger was in it, and I think Jimmy Page fucking did the music.
Huh.
But I don't. I honestly don't know too much about him. I've watched Scorpio Rising and a few other.
Scorpio Rising sounds
Okay,
familiar.
I don't. Yeah, I've watched Scorpio Rising, but I don't actually
Wait, did you say
remember.
Lucifer Rising?
Yeah, I
Oh,
think I. It's like something else. It's something else. But there's a there's a movie with Mick Jagger by Kenneth Anger. I haven't watched too much of his films, but just like Scorpio Rising, and I think Rabbit is that one's called. I don't know.
that sounds
He's
familiar.
interesting.
Rabbit.
Yeah, he's
Hmm.
interesting.
I might have heard of some of
But
his films. What's his name again?
Kenneth Anger,
Kenneth
he's kind of
Anger.
weird. He's like tries to act like he's like an occult guy. I don't know. He's
Huh.
strange. He's a strange guy. I bet I would hate him if I met him, but his films are pretty cool
Yeah.
or interesting at the least.
Huh.
But but yeah, back to this one.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. And back then too, like Dennis Hopper said this himself. I listened to the commentary for this with him, and he said that back then, of course, nowadays you have to like pay the artist to put their song in your movie, but back then didn't have to do that. You just had to get permission from the artist.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty cool.
Which is pretty cool, yeah. Because I
Yeah.
mean, it's like, and by like the thing is now, it's like they definitely wouldn't be paying the artist that much money. It would be probably if the artist has like a 360 record deal, then the fucking labels getting all that money or most of it. So this is cute. I like back then where it's just like, hey, can I use your freaking? He walks up to the band. It's like, hey, can I use your song? And they're like, yeah, man, go ahead. Like I find that to be really appealing.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I thought, of course, the three main guys, Peter Honda, yeah, Fonda, Peter Fonda,
Yeah.
Dennis Hopper, and of course Jack Nicholson, all great in this movie. And
Yep.
this was, I believe, the film that put Jack Nicholson on the map.
Oh
Like
yeah.
this was because I think before this he was just doing these low budget B movies and
Mhm.
whatnot. Um, this was the movie that this was the one that people after they saw him in this movie they wanted to hire him, and that's
Yeah.
how he became huge in the 70s. But yeah, and Dennis Hopper, he was kind of known I think already. He was actually in I think Rebel Without a Cause, the James Dean movie.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I think he was in that.
That's cool.
Yeah. And Peter Fonda, I don't know much about him. I just know that
Me
his family is like a big acting family. His dad, Henry Fonda, is in one of the greatest movies of all time, 12 Angry Men.
Mm.
And there's Jane Fonda
Yeah.
as well, and his daughter, Peter Fonda's daughter, Bridget Fonda, who's actually not even acting anymore, but she acted a little in the 90s, and she was in the Tarantino movie Jackie Brown.
Oh really?
Yeah, that's the only thing I know her in. But yeah, um, but yeah, they're all great. Jack Nicholson's really funny.
Yeah.
Whenever he drinks, he's like nit 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 nit.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
to the audience out there, you know that whenever you drink like liquor, it could burn. If you're drinking fucking vodka or whatever, you might be like, ooh. He had like this weird thing where he'd drink it and he would like he'd like do
Yeah.
weird shit with his arms.
Really,
Really
just
over.
like
It
tweaking.
was so over the top. Yeah, he was tweaking. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
It was
funny.
weird, man.
Yeah. Um. Let's see. What else? So we already said about the cinematography and editing is great. Like that. I think that kind of stuff. That's some of my favorite things about the movie.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you liked about this?
Man, I think all of the uh
'Cause I still have a fun fact to share.
oh yeah, yeah.
Go ahead.
I think all of the actors in the movie um included like the whole movie. They're very interesting. Like they like the townspeople and stuff. It was like I don't know. There was like this weird intensity with them, and like they probably just like asked these people like, "Hey, you want to be in a movie?" And they're like, "Yeah, sure."
I wonder how they
I don't
got
know.
Phil Spector to be in this.
Yeah, that too. I don't know.
I will say there is this part in the movie. They were like at like an airport or
Yeah.
something. Whenever he's buying drugs for them, and there's actually some shots with some airplanes going by, and,
Yep.
and you can see him. Like Dennis Hopper actually said this, that he was actually he was terrified of airplanes, and like he would like duck down whenever
Yeah,
they
he like
flew by.
like the nuclear bomb was dropping.
Yeah,
Dropping.
it's pretty funny.
What's your fun fact?
Okay, so all right. So back to that scene where they're talking about whenever they were camping out, and George, Jack Nicholson's character, was smoking weed for the first time, and they're
Yeah.
talking about UFOs. Uh, that scene in particular actually helped inspire a certain character from a certain show, King of the Hill, Del Gribble.
Oh, really?
Del Gribble is actually based on Jack Nicholson's character. At least the whenever the show first started,
Yeah.
like his original voice. Like if you watch like season 1 of King of the Hill, he actually sounds a little bit different than
Yeah.
he did later on. Like his voice was a little bit deeper. Like later on, he was like, oh, hey, yeah, like it was like really like that, but it was a little bit deeper, and but but like Dale Gribble, like not only the voice, but also he's like a conspiracy nut too.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Like that kind of stuff. Like that's what the voice actor Toby Huss, I think is his name. He actually kind of like he even came up with the conspiracy stuff just from that because he was just like improvising. Uh, he's like doing basically Jack Nicholson in this movie,
That's so funny.
talking about UFOs and stuff. Like whenever he was like auditioning for the
It's such a
part,
good, it's such a good idea.
and Mike Judge liked that, and there's like, yeah, you know what? Let's add that to the character.
Yeah.
Have him be a conspiracy nut. So yeah, that's the fun fact I have right there.
Wow. Fun
Yeah.
fact.
Yeah.
I like it. I did not know.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna say something maybe about like Jack Nicholson and Stanley Kubrick or something like that. I thought it was gonna be like a little bit of like The Shining
Oh
theory or something.
no. Nah.
Very cool. I did not know.
Yeah. But yeah. All right. So anything else before we wrap it up?
That's all I got.
We're already at the hour. Yeah, we basically just said we're just talking about what this movie's about and stuff. But it's a great movie.
Yeah.
I guess you probably recommend it too.
No, you should buy them all up and burn them. You should buy every copy of this movie and burn it to keep America alive.
Oh,
No,
Jesus.
no, I'd recommend it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Smoke a little bit of weed. It'll be fun. To be honest, yeah. I didn't do that beforehand,
Oh,
but
God.
that would have been nice.
I don't just stay away from the trippy yellow.
Oh, yeah,
no.
yeah.
That'll freak. I mean, I
You're
was
right.
sober and that freaked me out.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
But yeah. So I guess we'll start with you. Give your overall thoughts and rating.
Okay, final thoughts. This movie has a weird balance, I think, of being dated and new. I think the dialogue sometimes, certain times, like the UFO scene, or like there's a really great scene where Jack Nicholson basically explains the whole movie, and he's like, "If these people see real freedom, that makes them violent."
Yeah.
Like that's probably
That sounded very much like Dale Gribble, by the way.
so. I think those scenes were really good, but some of the other stuff I kind of thought it. Well, it was like, I don't know. I definitely don't think it's a perfect movie. I think it is more of just like a creative
Yeah.
force. So I think you should watch it if you're interested in this type of shit. Be prepared to. This isn't the most action-packed movie of all time, so be
No.
prepared. Like if you're into shit that has more like maybe purpose to it, like immediacy, maybe don't watch this movie. But if you're into just chilling, watching a movie, seeing what it has to say, watch it. So therefore, I give it an 8 out of 10. I think it's a good movie.
All right.
It's a solid movie, and I respect the sentiment and the work and the beauty in this movie. So, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up.
Right on. Right on. So, originally I gave this a 10, actually. Like, this was actually in my favorite movies of all time. But I will say, rewatching it, I mean, I still love this movie, don't get me wrong. But, I will say, the first act was a bit slow,
Yep.
I thought.
Yep.
Like, it was a bit slow. Like, honestly, it didn't really pick up until they met Jack Nicholson at the jail, honestly.
Yeah.
That's what I kind of felt like this time around. Not that I didn't hate the first act. I thought, it was fine. But it does get better as it goes on and stuff.
Yeah.
So, therefore, I'm going to give it a 9.
Yeah.
I would still maybe put this like in my top 50 favorite movies of all time. I put it in my top 30 somewhere, but probably in my top 50, I would imagine. I mean, definitely, if not top 50, definitely 100, but still.
Yeah.
But I give this a 9. I still love this movie. I love the filmmaking aspect, especially. But I also like the message too. After rewatching this, I get the message now, and I can appreciate it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I 100% agree with you. Like if they, I think honestly, one reason why I hated the hippies so much in this movie, was just because they were there for so long, and I felt like some of
Yeah.
it did not have a really clear purpose. Like it wasn't saying much. It was just like, oh, these things are happening. Like the whole first act, it did feel like they really didn't know what kind of movie they were making. I don't know. It felt like it was just long. That first half.
Right.
So I agree with you. If the first half was better, this could be a 9. This could be a 10, depending
Yeah.
on how good it was.
Yeah, it'll probably be a 10 for me if first act was better. But
Yeah, I agree.
yeah.
Rock and roll, baby.
All right. So got an 8 and 9 here. So yeah.
That's a passing grade.
All right. So there we go. I hope you made it this far. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Your Cousins Are Critics
Our chit chat.
of Easy Rider. I don't know what the next movie will be. I have a few other ideas.
Mhm.
I still want to do Leon the Professional, but that's a 2 hour movie, I think. So we're gonna have to find the time to do
Yeah.
that.
My schedule's been weird.
Yeah.
Weird lately.
There's that. There was another one I was just thinking earlier. I can't remember what it was, but I had another one in mind too.
I want to do a Cronenberg movie.
Okay.
Give me that. Give me that.
Okay.
I don't know what yet.
All right. Yeah.
Maybe.
Maybe the next one could be one of those, since it's probably your turn to do one.
I'll be thinking about it. I've got a handful.
Okay.
I wish I had more though. But anyway.
All right. So. All right. So. Please like, subscribe, comment, hit the bell, and we'll see you next time. And yeah, I'll see you next time too in my own videos. But anyways, all right.
Adios,
Peace.
amigos.